Howdy, I'm Bodhi. Welcome to all the new faces. At least all of y'all should be new, considering this is my first video. Just so you know what's going on in the background, this is a speed paint, my speed paint entry for Blue Biscuits 200K. Draw this in your own style. Congrats, by the way, that's really cool. But that's not all we will be talking about. I'm actually gonna reminisce about my first job experience. As many high schoolers do, or any high schooler does, I went out and found myself a fancy job. It was Taco Bell. Not very fancy. I worked a whopping 3 months there, and let me tell you what an experience that was. There's 3 main things that I want to hit in this little amalgamation of things. Those being the concussion that I got that delayed my start of my job, the fact that I was also working during COVID, and how I quit. So, yes, you did hear me right, my concussion. A quirky little fun fact about me is that I've had about 1,000,001 concussions in my life. Another fun fact is that I did cheer my junior year of high school. If you know what I look like and how gay I am now, that's hilarious, I swear. Anytime I tell one of my friends that I did cheer, they start cackling, they do not believe me. But they're like, you might be thinking how do these two relate? Well, I got this concussion in cheer. I got hit in the head about 8 times in a row. I was a main bass at the time, talking like you might know cheer. I was a main bass at the time. We were doing a pyramid called a kick full, and the girl that was being thrown in the middle for said kick full kept getting dropped on my head, and she kicked me in the head about 8 times. This being like a 100-pound girl, obviously I'm gonna become concussed with that. But that all happened right after I finished my interview, and I already had a date to start for this job. So I called my manager. She didn't mind letting me push it back, my first shift back a week. This was the beginning stages of this concussion. My doctor really didn't know or think it was as severe as it actually turned out to be. The doctor that diagnosed this concussion, though, also wasn't my main doctor. That's another story for another time. But, yeah. So, my headaches just kept getting worse and worse. If you've ever had a concussion or know what a concussion is, you know that they hurt. But they just kept getting worse. Towards that end of the week that I already delayed my shift, that was coming closer, and I was just I cannot do this. So I asked for another day or two to just be look, man, I need more time. I do not feel good. Please just let me take some more time off. My manager was compliant with me. She was totally fine with that fact. She was yeah, concussion, take as much time as you need. But she was shit talking me behind my back, because I had 2 of my best friends also worked at said Taco Bell, and they had already started, obviously, because we all applied at the same time. So it's they already started working. I was being delayed because of my brain trauma. But she was complaining to them and being oh my god, why can't Bodhi just come in and work already? It's not that hard. I work with migraines all the time, yada yada yada. So one of my friends texted me a few hours after, that I asked for more time, and said that if I didn't come in the next day, which was the initial date that I was scheduled to come in, that I would be fired because I had a concussion. Ridiculous, I know, but I showed up anyway because I wanted a job. My head was killing, and when I got there, all my coworkers were like terrified of me. They thought that I had COVID because okay, another fun fact, this took place in like September of 2020, so COVID was still kind of like fresh and funky. But so my coworkers were like scared of me and made me wear double gloves, and like totally valid, but I didn't have COVID. That's one of my main flexes. I've never had COVID in my life. I've had a lot of scares though, but yeah. But this, like them being scared that I had COVID, even though I didn't, it was just a concussion, worked to my advantage because I was forced to run the drive-thru. So I like finessed my way out of food handling. So that was really nice because I was initially hired to be like a work whatever you need, like whatever they need in the moment, like get trained on register and get trained online. I never got trained online. I only did register, which was slay. But yeah, those who've never worked drive-thru, you wear a headset, and anytime a car pulls up, it like dings, and they hit the button and be like, "Hi, welcome to Taco Bell. Like, what can I get for you?" I did that. I took people's orders, and I like obviously handled money and stuff. It was super easy. It was a decent first job. Horrible pay. Would never ever do that again. But then again, what first job doesn't have awful pay? But I only managed to stay at this job for like 2 months, 3 months, something like that. The dates are all jumbled in my brain because I also have a very jumbled brain because of the mass amount of concussions. This was not the most recent concussion either. I've had concussions since this, which hilarious. At least I think so. But yeah. But I only managed to stay there for a little bit. Like I mentioned before, I had 2 of my best friends working there, but I never got scheduled with them. I worked maybe 1 shift with one, and I worked maybe 2 or 3 with the other, which sucked. They also would continuously schedule me outside of my availability. Cheer became a weird conflict, which it never should have been because I perfectly like made my hours around the fact that I had cheer practice and like games and stuff. And they also forced me to stay until closing sometimes, even though I needed to be home earlier than what a regular shift would be. They forced me to stay later. It was awful. They also scheduled me the entire week of Halloween, like leading up to Halloween and stuff. Never again. They all, like, including Halloween night, it was so bad. That was my final straw. I was done. I couldn't handle it anymore. I was just out. The stress that this job caused me was so not worth, like, any of it. Some might say, like, oh, the experience was so valuable, and, like, at least the money must have been nice. It wasn't that much money. It was nice at the time, I guess, and, like, that experience was cool. Like, if I ever wanted to run drive-thru again, I guess I could. It was a good experience, but no, never want to go back, ever. But seriously, the day that schedule got posted for, like, Halloween week, I quit. I called my manager. I quit on the spot. I was done. Didn't even give them a notice. I just quit. Now, I know that was kind of low of me, but hey, it was necessary for my mental and physical health. Like, always obviously give them notice because staffing, especially right now, sucks during COVID and all that. But it just, I don't know. First job, it sucked, and I feel like they were gonna fire me anyway, so the fact that I quit, like, she didn't really seem bothered by it, which I think is kind of funny. But I'm like, I'm never ever going back to fast food. I got that experience, and I got how I was sick of smelling like greasy taco meat every night I came home. I didn't touch the food once, ever, unless I was like handing it out the window, and I would come home like covered in beans and like smell like meat. It was awful, so nasty. But I'm like, I don't mind doing like retail or like still handling food, like working in food. Like my most recent job was I was a host for like a proper restaurant. Don't mind doing those. Those are fine. I'm never going back to those greasy ass shitholes that they call fast food restaurants. Nope. Anyway, this was just meant to be a lighthearted first video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little story. Let me know about your awful job experiences. You know, I like hearing that kind of stuff. Like, especially chaotic stories. Those are hilarious. But I even would just love to hear, like, the basic stories. If you want to see more of my stuff, you can find me on Instagram at Pixby, the same handle that I have here. Maybe y'all came here from that initially. I don't know. I've also been thinking about starting like a proper TikTok and maybe getting more into like Twitter and stuff, but I just like, I know how Instagram functions, so I just kind of, I roll with it. I roll with what I know. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay, well, I hope you guys have the loveliest of lovely days, and I will see you sometime in the future. See ya!